Hi, people. Gee, fucking Louise, this is a mess. Okay, this is gonna go there. I'm gonna go close that city door. Hello. As always, it's been forever, but it's my girl's birthday. I'm obviously talking about Virginia Woolf, whose birthday is just a day before mine. I'm getting older tomorrow, and I always need to do something for her birthday. Um, as you can see, my apartment is a mess. A lot of stuff happened in the last year. So, yeah. Um, I will at least always try to do something on her birthday. So even if it takes years to finish this fucking novel, we'll do it. A lot has happened. As you can see, I moved. I did not get better at organizing my stuff in my apartment. There's like game stuff I'm working on, 2 books I want to read there. One's about BDSM, and well, it's a long story. Um, I'm not gonna say what that is. You can recognize what it is. I should have put it somewhere else. I have a little word game on my desk called Luck, which is amazing. You can see a mess of movies and board game there. You can see I have great taste in movie. You could probably see there is West Side Story. You can see Desert Hearts, Petite Maman, Bleu Blanc Rouge, a really rare movie from Peter Greenaway. You can say I play too many video games. As you see, I have all the console. A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happening in my mess of a life. Last year. So again, I moved. That's one thing. I've been pitching game project to people. That's another thing, which is nice. I've actually been working on real game project in the background and stuff going on, though obviously with what's happening in the industries these days, money is hard to find, and my projects are really niche on top of that, which makes it even harder to get funding. But there's stuff coming, maybe one day, maybe not. I don't know, man. I don't know if I feel the best about today, but still my girl's birthday, so gotta do what you gotta do. Um, what else been going on? What else has been going on? You know, a lot of stuff. And we're gonna read some Virgin Woolf. And the fun thing about reading some Virgin Woolf this year, this year, if I don't read more of her in the whole year, is that the chapter we have in front of us are really small. So I'm gonna stop to talk a bunch. Okay. We, if you forgot in the last year, we're at page 137. We just finished like part 1, and we're at part 2. Time passes, so a good place to stop for a whole fucking year. So, chapter 1 of part 2. Well, we must wait for the future to show, said Mr. Banks, coming in from the terrace. It's almost too dark to see, said Andrew, coming up from the beach. One can hardly tell which is the sea and which is the land, said Prue. Do we leave that light burning? Said Lily, as they took their coats off indoor. No, said Prue, not if everyone's in. Andrew, she called back, just put out the light in the hall. One by one, the lamps were all extinguished, except that Mr. Carmichael, who liked to lie awake a little reading Virgil, kept his candle burning rather longer than the rest. And that's the end of chapter 1. Yeah, so I'm currently, like, if you don't know, me and my friend Raphael Bennett are doing a podcast about our best video game of the year every fucking year. And I'm currently editing what we did for 2023. It's madness. Maybe, like, I am not at the end right now, but maybe by the end, it'll go even crazier because we started drinking whiskey. And I don't know. I don't remember being drunk, but maybe we were, and I did not realize. I think that's fun about that podcast is I think people lack curiosity in what they like about video games, and me and Ref like AAA games. Like, actually, our game of the year is a pretty big AAA game. You probably have a good idea of which one it is if you're aware of what's going on in video games. But our number two is this crazy fucking art project, small game made probably by a single person. I'm not sure if they were alone when they developed it or not. It's a crazy anti-capitalist game that is different than everything else that exists in the fucking world. And I said at the beginning of the podcast that I feel like the game industry is missing a real critical outlook nowadays. And I feel like today Microsoft announced that they're firing 2,000 people, and last week it was a riot, and I think we had Twitch not so long ago, and like, anyway, it's been a thing going on last year and this whole year. Oh, fucking crazy. All the layoff had been and everything, and now it never stops. And seeing small creator, well, oh, I feel I'm of two mind about it because on one end, I really appreciate that we have small creators still doing things outside of the realm of the big companies and like doing their own fucking stuff however they want without having to deal with these fuckos that are making millions out of the back of their workers. On the other hand, it's hard to feel like the audience is there always. And that might be disappointing. And like often a lot of the greatest artists are recognized after their death, like my other girl, Emily Dickinson. Um, and that's disappointing, but it's good to see that people in the world are still good artists. I'm saying that, but like Venbad this year was a very big success, and that's the kind of shit I want to see more in the game industry. Um, yeah, that's my thought on that. Chapter 2. So with the lamps all put out, the moon sunk, and the thin rain drumming on the roof a downpouring of immense darkness began. Nothing, it seemed, could survive the flood. The profusion of darkness, which creeping in at keyholes and crevices, stole round window blinds, came into bedrooms, swallowed up here a jug and basin, their bowl of red and yellow dahlias, there the sharp edge and firm bulk of a chest jar. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I have trouble reading properly, but I'll get there. Or maybe not. Not only was furniture confounded, there was scarcely anything left of body or mind by which one could say this is he or this is she. Sometimes a hand was raised as if to clutch something or went off something, or somebody groaned, or somebody laughed aloud as if sharing joke with nothingness. Nothing stirred in the drawing room, or in the dining room, or on the staircase. Only through the rusty hinges and sullen sea-moistened woodwork certain hairs detached from the body of the wind. The house was ramshackle after all, crept round corners and ventured indoors. Almost one might imagine them as they entered the drawing room, questioning and wondering, toying with the flap of hanging wallpaper, asking Would it hang much longer? When would it fall? Then, smoothly brushing the walls, they passed on musingly, as if asking the red and yellow roses on the wallpaper whether they would fade, and questioning gently, for there was time at their disposal, the torn letters in the waste paper basket, the flowers, the books, all of which were now open to them and asking, were they allies, were they enemies, along with the endure? So some random light directing them from some uncovered star or wandering ship, or the lighthouse heaven with its pale footfall upon stair and mat, the little hairs mounted the staircase and nosed round bedroom doors. But here surely they must cease. Whatever else may perish and disappear, what lies here is steadfast. Here one might say to those sliding lights, those fumbling hairs, that breathe and bend over the bed itself, where you can neither touch nor destroy, upon which warily, ghostily, as if they had feather-light fingers and the light persistency of feathers, they would look once on the shut-eyes and the loosely clasping fingers, and fold their garments wearily and disappear. And so, nosing, rubbing, they went to the window on the staircase, to the servants' bedrooms, to the boxes in the attics, descending, blenched the apple on the dining room table, fumbled the petal of roses, tried the picture on the easel, brushed the mat, and blew a little sand along the floor at length, desisting, all seized together, gathered together, all sighed together, all together gave off a nameless gust of lamentation, to which some door in the kitchen replied, swung wide, admitted nothing, and slammed to. Here Mr. Carmichael, who was reading Virgil, blew out his candle. It was past midnight. That's the end of chapter 2. Uh, Man, Virgin is so fucking good. I don't fucking care if you like think writing this much about the stupid door is just the fucking best. She is the best. Okay, chapter 3. But what after all is one night, a short space, especially when the darkness dims so soon, and so soon the bird sings, a cock crows, or a faint grin quickens. Like a turning leaf in the hollow of the wave, night, however, succeeds to night. The winter holds a pack of them in store and deals them equally, evenly, with indefatigable fingers. They lengthen, they darken. Some of them hold aloft clear planets, plate of brightness. The autumn trees, ravaged as they are, take on the flash of tattered flags, kindling in the gloom of cool cathedral caves, where gold letters on marble pages describe death and battle, and how bones bleach and burn far away in Indian sands. The autumn trees gleam in the yellow moonlight, in the light of harvest moons, the light which mellows the energy of labor and smooths the stubble and bring the wave lapping blue to the shore. It seems now as if, touched by human penitence and all its toil, divine goodness had had parted the curtain and displayed behind it, single, distinct, the hair erect, the wave falling, the boat rocking, which did we deserve them should be o'er always. But alas, divine goodness, twitching the cord, draws the curtain, it does not please him. He covers his treasure in a drench of hail, and so breaks them, so confuses them that it seems impossible that their calm should ever return, or that we should ever compose from their fragments a perfect whole, or read in the littered piece the clear words of truth. For penitence deserves a glimpse only, or toil respite only. The nights now are full of wind and destruction. The trees plunge and bend, and their leaves fly helter-skelter, until the lawn is plastered with them and they lie packed in gutters and choke rain's pipes and scatter damp paths. Also, the sea tosses itself and breaks itself, and should any sleeper fancying that he might find on the beach an answer to his doubt, a sharer of his solitude throws off the bedclothes and go down by himself to walk on the sand. No image with semblance of serving and divine promptitude comes readily to hand, bringing the night to order and making the world reflect the compass of the soul. The hand dwindles in his hand, the voice bellows in his ear. Almost it would appear that it is useless in such confusion to ask the night those questions as to what and why and wherefore, which attend the sleeper from his bed to seek an answer. Mr. Ramsay, stumbling along a passage, stretched his arm out one dark morning, but Mrs. Ramsay, having died rather suddenly the night before, he stretched his arms out. They remained empty. And that's chapter 3. I don't know if I'm showing my best film in the background. I should have made an effort. What else going? I changed job. That's a thing. It never fucking stopped. It never fucking stopped. Um, I'm gonna be 36 tomorrow, and we were watching The Simpsons with my partner, and Homer says he's 36, and that hit me fucking hard. So that's a thing. Let's read a little more. I don't know who's gonna watch this. My last video got 8 views. I mean, my last video about the Lighthouse. My one of my prototype is live on my YouTube, and it has a fair amount of view. So there's that. Cool air, dude. So with the house empty and the doors locked and the mattress rolled around, those stray hairs, advance guards of great armies, blustered in, brushed bare boards, nibbled and fanned, met nothing in bedroom or drawing room that wholly resisted them, but only hangings that flapped. Wood that creaked, the bare legs of table, saucepans, and china, already furred, tarnished, cracked. But people had shed, and left a pair of shoes, a shooting cap, some faded skirt and coats and wardrobes. Those alone kept the human shape, and in the emptiness indicated, oh, once they were filled and animated. Oh, once hands were busy with hooks and buttons. Oh, once the looking glass had held a face, had held a world hollowed out in which a figure turned, a hand flashed, the door opened, in came children rushing and tumbling, and went out again. No, day after day, light turned, like a flower reflected in water, its clear image on the wall opposite. Only the shadows of the trees flourishing in the wind made obeisance on the wall, and for a moment darkened the pool in which light reflected itself. Or birds flying made a soft spot flutter slowly across the bedroom floor. So loveliness reigned and stillness, and together made the shape of loveliness itself, a form from which life had parted, solitary like a pool at evening, far distant, seen from a train window, vanishing so quickly that the pool, pale in the evening, is scarcely robbed of its solitude, though once seen. Loveliness and stillness clasped hands in the bedroom, and among the shrouded jugs and sheeted chairs, even the prying of the wind and the soft nose of the clammy sea airs, rubbing, snuffling, iterating, and reiterating their question, will you fade, will you perish, scarcely disturb the peace. The indifference, the air of pure integrity, as if the question they asked scarcely needed that they should answer, we remain. Nothing, it seemed, could break that image, corrupt that innocence, or disturb the swaying mantle of silence which, week after week, in the empty room, wove into itself the falling cries of birds, ships hooting, the drone and sorry, the drone and hum of the fields, a dog's bark, a man's shout, enfolded them round the house in silence. Once only a board sprang on the landing, once in the middle of the night with a roar, with a rupture, as after a century of quiescence, a rock rends itself from the mountains and hurtles crashing into the valley. One fold of the shawl loosened and swung to and fro. Then again peace descended, and the shadow wavered. Light bent his own image in adoration on the bedroom wall when Mrs. McNabb, tearing the veil of silence with hands that had stood in the washtub, grinding it with boots that had crunched the shingle, came as directed to open all windows and dust the bedroom. We're in a pretty sad bit of the book, I guess. Eh? Not that it's happy-go-lucky all the time, but this is not the most fun bit. Also, I mean, it must be pretty obvious that I'm fairly tired right now, but again, it's my girl's birthday, so I was not gonna miss it. Yeah, let's read some more. Chapter 5. As she lurched, for she rolled like a ship at sea, and leered, for her eyes fell on nothing directly, but with a sidelong glance that deprecated the scorn and anger of the world, she was witless, she knew it. As she clutched the banisters and hauled herself upstairs and rolled from room to room, she sang, rubbing the glass of the long-looking glass and leering sideways at her swinging figure. A sound issued from her lips. Something that had been gay 20 years before, on the stage perhaps, had been hummed and danced to, but now, coming from the toothless, bonneted, caretaking woman, was robbed of meaning, was like the voice of witlessness, humor, persistency itself, trodden down, but springing up again, so that as she lurched, dusting, wiping, she seemed to say how it was one long sorrow and trouble, how it was getting up and going to bed again, and bringing things out and putting them away again. I was It was not easy or snug, this world she had known for close on 70 years. Bowed down she was with weariness. How long, she asked, creaking and groanings on her knees under the bed, dusting the board. How long shall it enter? But helped her to her feet again, pulled herself up, and again with her sidelong leer, which slipped and turned aside even from her own face, and her own sorrows, stood and gaped in the glass aimlessly smiling, and began again, the old and bold and noble, taking up mats, putting down china, looking sideways in the glass, as if, after all, she had her consolation, as if in the ear there twined about her dirge some incorrigible hope. Vision of joys there must have been, and at the washtub, so with her children, yet two had been base-born and one had deserted her. At the public house, drinking, turning over a scrap in her drawers, some cleavage of the dark, there must have been some channel in the depths of obscurity through which light enough issued to twist her face grinning in the glass and make her, turning to her job again, mumble out the whole music hall song. Meanwhile, the mystic, the visionary, walked the beach, stirred a puddle, looked at a stone, and asked himself, "What am I? What is this?" And suddenly an answer was vouchsafed. An answer was vouchsafed them. What it was they could not say, so that they were warm in the frost and had comfort in the desert. But Mrs. McNabb continued to drink and gossip as before. Hello. Um, Geez, I don't know if I have that much to say. I also been playing more board games recently, and I've been working through campaigns of Arkham, the card game, which is actually a wonderful but way too expensive game because just buying the base set is not a good experience with that game. So you have to buy more, but like you need at least to invest in a whole pack, in a whole cycle, they call them, to make the game at least kind of playable. And even that is not enough, I feel. And already you're talking about $200. So, yeah, being smart with money. Um, but it's a wonderful game. I would like, again, I'm always saying I'd like to do more content, but like the reality is that I work. So, like, I work a full day job and then I try to do my game stuff, and I have like 2 project plus pitch going on right now about video games plus pitching. And that's a lot of work, which also explains why I haven't been reading Virginia Woolf that often. But we never stop. Slow and steady. Chapter 6. The spring without a leaf to toss, bare and bright like a virgin fierce in her chastity, scornful in her purity, was laid out on fields, wide-eyed and watchful, and entirely careless of what was done or taught by the beholders. Prue Ramsay, leaning on her father's arm, was given in marriage that May. What people said could have been more fitting, and they had it how beautiful she looked. As summer neared, as the evening lengthened, there came to the wakeful, the hopeful, walking the beach, staring the pool, imagination of the strangest kind, of flesh turned to atoms which drove before the wind, of stars flashing in their hearts, of cliff, sea, cloud, and sky, brought purposefully together to ensemble outwardly the scattered parts of the vision within. And those mirror the minds of men in those pools of uneasy water in which cloud for ever turned and shadow form, dream persisted, and it was impossible to resist the strange intimation which every goal, flower, tree, man and woman, and the white heart itself seemed to declare. But if questioned at once to withdraw, the good triumphs, happiness prevails, order rules, or to resist the extraordinary stimulus to range hither and thither in search of some absolute good, some crystal of intensity, remote from the known pleasure and familiar virtues, something alien to the process of domestic life, single, hard, bright, like a diamond in the sand, which would render the possessor secure, moreover soften and acquiescent. The spring with her bees humming and gnats dancing through her cloak about her, veiled her eyes, averted her head, and among passing shadows and flight of small rain seemed to have taken upon her a knowledge of the sorrows of mankind. Prue Ramsay died that summer in some illness connected with childbirth, which was indeed a tragedy, people said. They said nobody deserved happiness more. And now, in the heat of summer, the wind sent its spies about the house again. Flies wove a web in the sunny rooms. Weeds that had grown close to the glass in the night tapped methodically at the window pane. When darkness fell, the stroke of the lighthouse, which had laid itself with such authority upon the carpets in the darkness, tracing its pattern, came now in softer lights of spring mixed with moonlight, gliding gently as if it laid its caress and lingered stealthily and looked and came lovingly again. But in the very lull of this loving caress, as a long stroke leant upon the bed, the rock was rent asunder, another fold of the shawl loosened, there it hung and swayed. Through the short summer nights and the long summer days, when the empty room seemed to murmur with the echoes of the fields and the hum of the flies, the long streamer waved gently, swayed aimlessly, while the sun so stripped and barren the rooms and filled them with yellow haze that Mrs. McNab, when she broke in and lurched about, dusting, sweeping, looked like a tropical fish whoring its way through sunless waters. But slumber and sleep, though it might there, came later in summer ominous sounds like the measured bows of hammers dulled on felt, which, with their repeated shocks, still further loosened the shawl and cracked the teacups. Now and again, some glass tinkled in the cupboards as if a giant voice had shrieked so loud in its agony that tumblers stood inside the cupboard vibrated too. Then again, silence fell, and then night after night, and sometimes in plain midday, when the rows were bright and light turned on the wall its shape, clearly there seemed to drop into the silence this indifference, this integrity, the thud of something falling. A shell exploded. 20 or 30 young men were blown up in France, among them Andrew Ramsay, whose death, mercifully, was instantaneous. At that season, those who had gone down to pace the beach and ask of the sea and sky what message they reported or what vision they affirmed had to consider among the usual tokens of divine bounty. The sunset on the sea, the pallor of dawn, the moon rising, fishing boats against the moon, and children pelting each other with and full of grass, something out of harmony with this jocundity, this serenity. There was the silent apparition of an ashen-colored ship, for instance. Come, gone. There was a purplish stain upon the bland surface of the sea, as if something had boiled and bled invisibly beneath. This intrusion into a scene calculated to steer the most sublime reflection and lead to the most comfortable conclusion stayed their pacing. It was difficult blandly to overlook them, to abolish their significance in the landscape, to continue as one walked by the sea, to marvel at beauty outside mirrored beauty within. Then nature supplement what man advanced. Did she complete what he began? With equal complacence, she says misery, condone his meanness, and acquiesced in his torture. That dream then of sharing, completing, finding in solitude on the beach an answer was but a reflection in a mirror, and the mirror itself was but the surface glassness which forms in quiescence when the nobler powers sleep beneath. Impatient, despairing, he had lot to go, for beauty of her lures as her consolation. To pace the beach was impossible. Contemplation was unendurable. The mirror was broken. Mr. Carmichael brought out a volume of poems that spring, which had an unexpected success. The war, people said, had revived their interest in poetry. Okay. Um, that's enough sadness for a little while, eh? Maybe for another year, maybe not. We'll see. Hello. Hopefully it will. Sorry, I'm having a blank right now. Um, and I'm afraid no, my mic is working. I'm sorry. I got afraid for a second that my mic wasn't working. Um, yeah, I mean, it's been a rough year, and it might continue to be a rough year. And Virgin is not having a good day, and obviously, Well, let's not think about that too much. But I feel like it's really important to keep trucking on these days. And I've been, as much as I feel it's been a rough year, looking back on it, what I accomplished in the year, it's easy for me to see a few bad things that definitely did happen. But also, I've accomplished a lot. It's just, I mean, the world makes it feel like it's never enough, but that's not true. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes you're enough. For a timely reference. Uh, geez, fucking ways. Well, I hope it's gonna continue being better, and I don't know, like in the face of like capitalism being bad with people nowadays. Well, it's always been bad with people, but being obviously worse nowadays. I think it's important to like find solace in other people, in your own creative project, which might be doing a 7 hour podcast with a friend about video games that are crazy. Um, and just enjoy that time. Enjoy the time you have with your people, and enjoy the time you have with your friends and your partners, and enjoy the time you have by yourself, reading beautiful literature, even the sad one. Um, or playing video games or playing board games by yourself like a maniac like I do. That's a positive thing. I actually love doing this, even though it's for crazy people. Um, and just don't let the whole thing wear you down. I know it's hard, and it's been difficult for me lately for a few reasons, but I'm not done yet, and I'm gonna be back, you fuckers, in a year maybe, or maybe before. I hope. I would like to do more content for online, either podcasts or videos. But and I feel every time I start a project, I'm like, after 2 weeks, something happened, and I'm like, maybe I can for now. Maybe I don't have the time. But you know, being there at least once a year for Virginia's birthday, it's also good. And thank you to my 8 watcher, I think. Um, and we'll see you again. It was a tradition to always recommend music when I was doing this, and again, it's been a rough year, so I've been listening to a lot of like very violent music, and in that context, I have a song called, I think it is "Clawing Still" by Infant Island, and it's not the best metal song in the world, but it encompasses everything I can love about metal and how it can make me emotional, and how I think, I don't know, people that a lot of metal is really fucking corny. Like one of my favorite album last year was like by Insomnium, and as much as I love the album, it's really fucking corny. But I don't know, being owning the fact that you're corny is good, but on the other hand, like Infantile and I don't think it's corny, but like it shows a different kind of beauty that in a world where things the system is difficult and tend to put people through the ringer, I think looking for beauty in different places is important. And I think it's something, I think a lot of people agree that we need to destroy the capitalist system, and or toxic masculinity or whatever. But I think part of that is also try to find different method of expression that don't encourage those system, and I understand, like, I mean, I'm playing Spider-Man on PlayStation 5 these days, so, you know, it also is it's not you should not if something can make you happy and help you have a good time, like, even don't don't remove it out of your life because it was produced in a standard way. It's not what I'm saying, but it's important to look elsewhere too. And metal is can be that for me, not always, but can be that for me. And I think that particular song, Clawing Still by Infantile, is very much that. So, hey, you have a good day. You have a good year. You look great. And see you soon.